My guest today has spent most of his life straddling two worlds, traditional medicine and holistic care. He started out in emergency medicine at a very young age, working in ERs and on ambulances in New York City before taking a very unexpected turn into pregnancy, birth, and family centered care. His path into this work didn't come from ideology or branding, but from personal experience, unanswered questions, and a deep discomfort with how little choice and context many people are given during pregnancy and birth. Along the way, he's helped create a podcast, documentaries, courses, and a growing media platform designed to help people make informed, empowered choices from fertility through menopause. I'm pregnancy focused chiropractor Dr. Elliot Berlin, and you are listening to the Informed Pregnancy Podcast. Dr. Elliot Berlin, welcome to the podcast. That's right, I'm today's guest. Over the years, so many of you have asked how Informed Pregnancy Media began, how it grew into what it is today, and what's coming next. In this episode, I want to take a step back and share that story, how it started, how it evolved, and where we're headed from here. I grew up in New York City, and when I was a young kid, I walked into a building in Manhattan and I saw a CPR class in progress. And I was mortified. I was like, what are they doing to that poor woman with no arms and no legs? And when they told me that you could be somebody's heart and lungs until advanced medical care could arrive, I was hooked on healthcare. I knew from that moment I wanted to be a doctor. And I immediately started taking classes, first aid, responding to emergencies, CPR. And by the time I was 16, 17, I was teaching for the American Red Cross. I took the EMT class in New York State. And then when I turned 18, I started volunteering for ambulance companies and working for ambulance companies. And I got a lot of exposure to medicine, and I loved it. Hospitals, emergency rooms, and ambulances, I loved every bit of it. And I decided I was going to become the world's greatest something surgeon. I started college and I was a double major in pre-med and also speech and drama. And unfortunately, while I was in college, my father suddenly died from somewhat a medical mix-up. And it really was traumatic and sudden, and it made me think a lot about healthcare and the type of healthcare that I wanted to be involved with. I realized that every drug and every surgical procedure, some of them are incredible and miraculous and give us opportunities to heal in ways that we did not have before. But each one comes with downsides as well. And I decided that I wanted to be more on the side of healthcare that works with the body instead of against the body. Not that there's not a great place for both. I still have tremendous respect for medicine and for doctors who spend a very long time and a lot of commitment learning how to use modern pharmaceuticals and modern interventions in ways that are quite amazing. But I didn't want to be on that side of it. So I took off some time and I studied what are the different modalities in healthcare that are alternative or complementary. And I really fell in love with the combination of chiropractic and massage together. And so I went to school for both. I had gotten married, and my wife, she's currently my wife, my only wife, she wanted to be a psychologist. And we moved to Georgia, where we both were able to go to the grad schools we wanted. I went to a massage therapy school and a chiropractic school, and Alyssa went to psychology school for a master's and doctorate in psychology. Towards the end of that training, we decided maybe now's a great time to have a baby. And although we tried, no baby came out, and we ended up on a long, multi-year fertility journey that took us down a very heavy medical path. And at the end of it, unfortunately, they said we don't know why. We had unexplained infertility, but they didn't have a solution for us, and they recommended we'd probably only have kids if we adopted. However, at that time, we were no longer in a position to become parents. We didn't feel like we were ready to become parents anymore. We were quite broken. We were broken physically, like run down. We were broken emotionally. We were frustrated, even spiritually. Our relationship was distant, and we had absolutely no money. We had spent it all on trying to get pregnant. And so instead of pursuing adoption at that time, we decided to get healthy. We started to do some holistic things that were new to us, like meditation and acupuncture. And we were living in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Nebraska has these incredible bike trails that go on for miles alongside trains and bodies of water. It was really quite beautiful. And we would go for hours riding our bikes and bonding. And we were able to start earning some money that didn't go directly to medical fertility care. And we were able to bring ourselves to a healthier place over time. And maybe within the year, we had moved to Los Angeles and things had started to settle down a little bit for us. And we had thought about, okay, what are those alternative pathways to parenthood that they were talking about? And we found out we were pregnant. And thankfully, we had a beautiful, healthy baby boy. And every 2 years after that, another baby came out. It was almost like we couldn't turn it off. And again, we feel very blessed. We have four beautiful, healthy children. When we opened our mind body practice, we were doing general health and wellness, but we always had an eye on helping people boost their natural fertility. And through that program that developed, the first year, maybe a couple of babies came through. And then after that, it just snowballed. There were babies everywhere. Lots and lots of people around us were getting pregnant. And they wanted to continue their care with us through the pregnancy. So I kind of looked around. I'm like, I don't know that I'm someone who's uniquely qualified for prenatal care. But number one, anybody who goes to chiropractic school has some training in caring for pregnancy. And also, there weren't too many options around. I didn't find anything better. So I just did as much homework as I could. I told them I was new at it. And I tried to learn from the people who came before me. And I started down this path of pregnancy. And before you knew it, a lot of people were coming in for the type of care we offered: pregnancy focused chiropractic care, massage care, and counseling. And that's how we kind of ended up in the pregnancy and birth world. And once we started, we really had some eye-opening experiences, especially for me, because I came from such a medical background. And here I am in Los Angeles working with people who are coming to a chiropractor. They're a lot more holistically natured than I am in my own nature. And I started to learn a lot. And my patients would frequently ask questions of me, and it was those questions that ultimately led to Inform Pregnancy Media. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll explain how Inform Pregnancy podcast got started. Welcome back. It's just me. I hope you're enjoying the evolution, the birth of Informed Pregnancy Media. And I'd really like to encourage you to reach out. If you have questions, if you have suggestions about how our media could be more helpful to you, or if you think of ways that could be more helpful to the community of parents and parents to be, we love your feedback. On Instagram, we're at Dr. Berlin, spelled out DoctorBerlin. And by email, you can reach our team at info@informedpregnancy.com. Okay, so I talked about how we got into prenatal care, and it was really a lot of fertility at the beginning, then pregnancy, and then people would ask for me to come early in labor to work on them and alleviate, let's say there was some back labor, or if the baby is not moving down well or stuck. Perhaps at a different time, I'll get into how I got into doula work. But that was the path that led to me becoming a doula, something I never even heard of, let alone thought I would do for a career. But when it comes to the media, what would happen is I would get lots of different questions. A lot of questions about, hey, Dr. B, can you help me find a VBAC-friendly provider, a doctor or midwife who attends vaginal birth after cesarean? Or Do you know anyone who delivers breech babies? Or I'm going to be induced. My doctor wants to induce me because my fluid is high or my fluid is low or there's calcification on my placenta or my baby's too big or too small. All these different things like looking for feedback and input. Can you tell me more about that? Explain to me what's going on here. And these were all new things to me. I wasn't really familiar with them on a personal level, and I wasn't really familiar with them on a medical level, but I'm great at doing research. So every time I got a question, do some research. VBAC, what is that? Vaginal birth after cesarean. Well, why wouldn't everybody support or attend vaginal birth after cesarean? And when I start to do the research and I see, oh, there's a risk involved, and then you find out what the risk is and who's a better candidate and maybe a less good candidate, some of the pros and cons. It's not like the repeat cesarean option. The other option on the table doesn't have risk involved. So, what are the different risks involved? What are the odds of them happening? What are the alternative options? And, I would start to compile that information so I could give an answer. But then when I would get that question again and again and again, I thought it would be great for me to find a way to put these questions and answers into a format that's really easily digestible that we could disseminate to more people. And I started to do a blog and I heard about podcasting. And this is probably 15 years ago already. And I thought, wow, that's what a great thing. I could do my own little radio show. I could talk directly to people who are looking for this type of information and share this helpful information with them and make their journey better, more informed, more empowered. And so I set out to do a podcast and I had no idea what I was doing. I thought you needed a studio. So I went looking for studios. I found the studio in Venice, California. It was a beautiful, gorgeous studio. State of the art, very modern, with an incredibly talented audio engineer. And I got some guests, and we recorded our first episode. And by the time we recorded it and edited it and did more editing, and I didn't realize that we're paying for the studio by the hour and the engineer by the hour for the time that he's doing the editing. The first episode cost about $2,000. And I think we came out with 3 or 4 more episodes that year. I mean, that's all I could hack. We didn't have sponsors. I wasn't looking to make money from it, but I also wasn't looking to go broke making this podcast. And so it took some time until I realized how you could do this much cheaper. And I got a different studio that doesn't need to be quite as high quality as it was, and an incredible engineer who really transformed my ability to make these podcasts. And he has a great studio, much closer to home to me, perfect for lots of different things in music and in talk. And he really made a setup for us where we can come in and have guests come in and really boosted the audio quality of our podcast. And he's an amazing editor and he still edits our podcast today. And he's just fantastic. So that made a big difference. Shout out to Glenn Nishida at Pacifica Studios. And then, of course, during COVID, nobody could go anywhere. So I started to learn how I could do this from my bedroom closet. And that's oftentimes what we do now, which opened up the world to being able to interview guests who are not here in Los Angeles. And so now I interview guests from all around the world, except for today, where I'm just interviewing myself. Anyway, Informed Pregnancy Podcast started to grow. Some of those topics, like feedback and breach, really kept coming up again and again and again. And so, in addition to the podcast, I found myself on a journey making a documentary film, the first one on breech birth. It's called Heads Up, The Disappearing Art of Vaginal Breech Delivery. And again, I had no idea what I was doing. I went on Craigslist and I got some film students and I tried to put together interviews. And, sometimes this was the first or second documentary that they were ever working on, but that was the budget that I had. And I don't know, it seemed to me like for some of them, I knew more about framing a shot or capturing good audio than they did. And some of them were actually quite great. After we had everything together, I didn't realize there were different film speeds and all sorts of things that made what I had recorded just kind of a quilt patches that could be maybe woven together to make a quilt, but it wasn't really top quality, stellar stuff. I found an incredible person, Mel Kennedy, who really put a lot of heart and soul and effort into this project from a passionate mama perspective and really made something beautiful out of the little pieces that I had recorded haphazardly. And then we were able to get a beautiful score, a musical score to put into it by an extremely talented musician and composer named Garrett Wonder. The first time I watched the documentary with the music in it, it brought tears to my eyes. It really told the story on a new dimension. And we have some great obstetricians and midwives and women who shared their stories, personal stories, very raw and open, including actress Marina Baccarin and also Kimberly Vanderbeek and others. It's a powerful film, and we got great feedback on it. And I made a separate film called Trial of Labor, which is all about vaginal birth after cesarean. We had recorded a whole bunch of experts and medical professionals and women sharing their very personal stories. And in the end, we realized it's so much more powerful removing everybody except the women telling their stories. We also got a great score for that film, and I'm really proud of it. It's a powerful film. People watch it and have all sorts of different reactions to it, and they write in about their reactions sometimes. And I realize that it's a great tool, and sometimes it's a tool to help people heal and see other people's stories that they can relate to. Sometimes partners, for some reason, only get the experience that their partner is going through or went through by watching somebody else share their experience. And there's a lot of great feedback from it. But what I found with those films is that they kind of like lighting a match when they first come out. They are very powerful. They have a lot of reach and interest, and there people want to do screenings all over the country, all over the world. And then after a little bit while, just like a match, that initial flare starts to taper down. And it's hard for the film to find the audience in a timely way. And I would get repeated feedback, man, I wish I had seen this before I had my baby. And I'm like, oh no, I made this so that you could see it before you have your baby, so it can help you with your decision making before you have your baby. And so I reached out to some other filmmakers in this space and I said, you have great films. How do you keep them going? Like after you release them, how do you keep them in the arena where people who need them can find them in a timely fashion? And it seemed to be a problem a lot of people were struggling with. And a solution oriented person, I put a lot of time, effort, and research into how can I make a streaming platform where I bring together all of these films and then also other content that's related to them and have them really easily accessible. So, not too expensive and not hard to stream on any device. And that's where Informed Pregnancy Plus came from. It took some time to build it. It took a lot of time to license, to get a hold of and license some of the other films. But it's grown, and we have started to do a lot of our own production, new productions, which I'll get into shortly. And it's going to only continue to grow. We have a lot of exciting ideas that we're working on for this year and a lot of little docu-series. And again, I'll talk about those in the next segment. But I think that we've really been able to expand the reach in many different ways. For one thing, we're working on content now all the way from fertility, where we started, through menopause and everything in between. And we cover topics that are informational, we cover topics that are educational, we cover stories. We help people share their stories so that there's a sense of trying to build community. But one of the things that I see all the time, and as a doula, I would see this all the time as well, is just that when it comes to childbirth, which is sort of the center of our demographic, we have fertility all the way on one side and menopause on the other side, and childbirth is sort of in the middle, just before it, pregnancy, just after it, postpartum, and feeding. Is just that a lot of people were grossly underinformed about their choices and options or about what birth would be like or could be like. And I once had a guest on Dr. Stu Fishbein, who has his own podcast as well, Dr. Stu Podcast. And he said something that made a lot of sense to me, that if somebody's 35 years old and has never been on an airplane and they're going to take their first flight, but all they know about air travel is what they see on TV and movies and read newspaper headlines, they're not going to have a very good flight, meaning they'll be terrified of flying because the assumption is that every airplane either has mechanical failure and falls out of the sky, or is hijacked by terrorists, or has snakes on it. The idea that a plane could just take off, have a great flight with wonderful snacks, and land safely is foreign, even though that's what happens almost every single time. And it's true that I think a lot of people get to the point of childbirth and they have no exposure other than what they see on TV, movies, and newspaper headlines. And so, a big goal that we have through all of the informed pregnancy media is to give different insights and perspective and exposure to just real, natural birth without scripting, without dramatization, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, all of it. And I hope that you find that we are doing well in that goal. And along the way, the podcast has been helpful to many people who've gotten feedback. Sometimes the feedback is excellent, sometimes the feedback is critiques. All of it is welcome. Again, if you'd like to send feedback, reach out to us on Instagram to me at Dr. Berlin, DoctorBerlin, or by email to our team info@informedpregnancy.com. But the feedback that we most commonly get on the podcast is it's informational, which is empowering, and it helps me make decisions together with my provider that I'm excited about, and that because I'm able to make an informed choice, I'm able to also find support from my providers for those choices. We've been very lucky also that the people who listen to the podcast are open to sharing their stories as well. And that's led to a continuous exposure to very different kinds of pregnancy and birth journeys and postpartum experiences, and also expert guests who are more than happy to come share their expertise with our audience, and also celebrity guests who have come on, like Hilary Duff and Mandy Moore, Amanda Seyfried, many others who, because they listen to the podcast and it helps them, they're more than happy to pay it forward and help you as well. We've covered a big range of topics, many of them suggested by listeners. And if you would like a topic that we haven't covered yet, please reach out and let us know what it is, and we'll go do our research and find a great guest and cover it on a future episode. I want to get into some of the things that we're working on now and what's coming in the future. We're going to take one more break and be right back. Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying this episode of me just talking. If you are, boy, can I talk. We can do other episodes like this about answering some of the questions that we get frequently. And if you send a question, we'll be happy to answer yours as well. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that we have been working on and releasing recently, and some of the things that are coming ahead. On Informed Pregnancy Plus, our streaming platform, in addition to everything that we produce, we license a lot of content. There's mind and body stuff, there's yoga, there's fitness for pregnancy, for postpartum. I have a little meditation series that I started on there that's growing into a lot more topics. We have courses and workshops, including my wife's workshop called the Afterbirth Plan, which is kind of videos that you watch. If you're having a baby with a partner, you watch the video with your partners and discuss. And then when you're ready, you watch the next one. The subtitle could be How to Still Like Your Partner After You Have a Baby Together. We have a giant growing list of workshops that are on there. And in addition to the courses and the workshops, we have a little bit of comedy on there. There's a lot of different categories of content, and it all streams for under $7 a month currently. We have multiple platforms where you can access it, and the library is only going to grow. But here's some of the other things that we've been producing. Baby Book Nook, where we do a review of books related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and parenting. Empowered Mama, conversations with women who face significant challenges and emerge stronger from them. So it's focused on resilience and empowerment, and these mamas share their stories. And we have an incredible host for that show. Her name is Arista Alana, and she just creates a really safe, beautiful space for people to be able to share their difficult journeys and how they overcame them. A series called My Birth. This is kind of a deeply personal birth story format, illustrated with photos and video from all stages of the birth. So the interviewer is removed, and you end up having someone sharing her birth story and taking us into it on a much deeper level than we can do on the audio only podcast. We recently launched two series called Growing. One is Growing with Garrett, and one is Growing with HeHe. Both very powerful women with very powerful stories. Garrett had a very rough pregnancy and postpartum experience, and we catch up with her pregnant with her second and trying to have a better experience. And we follow her through a long journey of twists and turns that surprised me again and again. And we never knew how it would end until it ended. And we followed her all the way through the birth and the first stages of postpartum. And also Growing with HeHe, also extremely dynamic. HeHe Stewart is a childbirth professional for many years before starting her own family, and now we follow her through her first pregnancy, also weekly, also illustrated by video and pictures. And it's really interesting and fun to watch her experience what she's coached other people through for many years, and to experience it as both a professional and a mom, a first-time mom. So that's Growing with Garrett and Growing with HeHe. We also launched another podcast, a sister podcast to Informed Pregnancy called One Way or a Mother. And it explores motherhood through honest, nuanced, and somewhat unconventional stories and perspectives. Our first season follows Ariana, who's an extremely dynamic, interesting, entertaining person, and her husband. And we capture her pregnancy and birth, also someone who had a surprise experience with her first birth, did not go according to plan, now pregnant and trying to have a better experience. And we interview her and her husband and her mom for the ancestral component, her Reiki healer, her doctor, her midwife. The entire season is one story, and it's a powerful story. And we're currently working on season 2, which is also totally different, circuitous pathway to motherhood. It's a best friend surrogacy story. And we're already working on season 3, which gets even more unbelievable if you can believe it. And finally, we're working on, I'd like to shed more spotlight on postpartum. I think it's a sort of underexplored, undercovered topic. And we have a show on the streaming platform Informed Pregnancy Plus. It's going to be called The Fourth Try. That'll come out later this year. And there we follow a mom, also a very dynamic, energetic mom, Jen, who, after having her baby, we arrange for her to do something every week that is meant for mind, body, or spiritual healing, or in some cases, all of the above. And she takes us along as she explores these different modalities and describes them. And we learn through her more about the modality and how it felt to her and what the goals are. And we meet a whole bunch of lovely practitioners along the way. So there's a lot. I wouldn't expect anybody to do all of the things that Jen does, but it's a way to expose yourself to things that you can be doing to help yourself after having a pregnancy and after having the birth, things that you can help soothe and heal. So those are some of the little projects we're working on, and I feel like the momentum is just really starting to kick in and pick up. You can learn about all of our upcoming projects at informedpregnancy.com, especially if you sign up for our newsletter. And I can't stress enough how important it is for you to share your feedback. We love suggestions on taking the media we have And if you like the productions that we're doing and you have ideas on other shows we can do or other topics that need some spotlighting or highlighting, we'd love to hear from you. If there's other content that you think would be a great addition to our streaming platform, Informed Pregnancy Plus, let me know and I'll reach out and see if we can get licensing for that content. If you're a professional or a creator and you have content, reach out. Maybe you have content that we'd be able to spotlight and share as well. On a closing note, I would say one of the things that we're working on that we're excited about right now is taking topics. Let's say a topic is infant feeding, and curating a page on Informed Pregnancy Plus where we're going to have all of the media that we have, media that we produce, media that we license, not just visual, but also all of the podcast episodes that we've done now that we're reaching 500 podcast episodes, all of the episodes that relate to that topic and putting them in one place. And we're going to be doing about 10 topics. So it'll be making, researching a particular topic, let's say cesarean birth, let's say home birth, postpartum, fertility. We're going to have a separate little page for each one of those things so you can really absorb all of the content that we've put together or accumulated for you in one simple space. Anyway, that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed putting together this content for you. It's still a passion project for me. We have incredible sponsors, and I'm very grateful to them for believing in us and supporting the work that we do. But at the end of the day, it is a passion project with a small, powerful, mighty team who work feverishly to put this content together and bring it to you in all these different forms. And I'm grateful to them as well. Thanks for listening to the Informed Pregnancy Podcast. For more pregnancy and parenting information just like this, visit us online at informedpregnancy.com.